There's been a heated debate in Parliament over the request for setting up a committee to investigate the Airbus scandal. The MPs, particularly from the majority side, are sharply divided over the matter, despite the majority leaders' pushback that no parliamentary inquiry takes place because the special prosecutor is already investigating in Tim Fojo, upon Kruma, Patrick Buama, Bernard Okoboy think otherwise. Take a look at how it went down in Parliament.
In the course of time, perhaps it is recognized that there is some data, and that the House wants to go with nothing of the better than doing that. But for the time being, I think it is premature to allow the House, whether through its established committees or any other committee, to go into this matter. The Speaker, I so submit. I know that this issue that we are talking of has been given to the special prosecutor to deal with, which the leader of the House is now saying that, oh, the House should allow the special prosecutor to deal with the matter. The Speaker, if that is the case, then why should we allow a member to pass through the back door and bring the statement to the House? Now you are saying that we should allow the member of the statement, the special prosecutor, to deal with it. The Speaker, this is a motion that was passed by this House. If you are coming with a motion of decision, you have no problem. If you are coming by a motion to call for an inquiry into the motion, if an issue, you have no problem. But Mr. Speaker, to come through with a statement and calling for the setting up of a bipartisan inquiry into an issue, which we all know that this House is even a party to the issue. We should not be looking for the government officials somewhere. Members of Parliament were part of the delegation that went to Europe to go and protect this sector. We all know. So if today they are talking of the issue, then we say that let's go and back. If I was part of the issue, I was part of the delegation that went to buy an aircraft, you say I should be part of the committee to make an investigation, which is conflict of interest. Now, think of these two words. I cannot support the call of the majority leader to say that we should allow the special prosecutor. If they are going to allow the special prosecutor to deal with the issue, then
that's one side of the arguments there. Let's get on the line and speak to our correspondent for Parliamentary Affairs, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, who joins us from there. Hello, Joseph. Well, we're trying to get Joseph Opoku-Gakpo to speak to us, but if you're just tuning in, there has been a heated debate in Parliament this afternoon, and it's all about disagreements that's ensuing between not just majority members of Parliament, but also minority members of Parliament on whether or not a parliamentary inquiry should begin. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. He's joining us live from Parliament. Joseph, I'd like for you to take us to the start. How did this all begin?
So, Gifta, if I heard you right, you would want us to go through how exactly all this unfolded earlier today in Parliament. And it all started with a statement on the floor. In fact, it began with a notice from the MP for Okainkwe Central, Patrick Buama, who actually indicated that he is going sometime next week to file a motion officially requesting that Parliament investigates this particular issue with regards to the Airbus. He made that request initially. And then soon after that, there was a statement on the floor that was actually delivered by the NPP Member of Parliament for the Asin North area, that's Reverend Tim Fojo, who indicated that in that particular statement, he made the request after detailing all the specifics in terms of what has come down with regards to this scandal. He went on to request that the House goes ahead to set up a committee to investigate what happened and name and shame those who may have been involved in this particular scandal with regards to the government officials who were cited. That generated some form of reaction. We initially had the majority leader himself, Osei Chairman Sabuntu, indicate that he thinks that was a bad idea and that the Office of the Special Prosecutor was investigating the issue, so it should be left to those on the with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The interesting bit is that the NPP MP who delivered this is supposed to be someone who is on the majority side. So the majority leader would have some form of oversight over. But then the majority leader objected to that. We got reaction from the leadership of the minority, including Ibrahim Ahmed, who is the deputy minority whip, also objecting to that. And then there was a debate about whether the processes itself was actually right, and that this was a request that could be made with a motion or a statement. So the conversation ensued for a while. And just to break it down very briefly, we saw a situation where a number of NPP MPs, including Kojo Nkrumah, as well Patrick Yabuama, and then a number of others, backing the idea that there should be a parliamentary inquiry. But the minority rejected that. John Jinapor, who is an MP on the minority side, objected to that. And even at a point in time, we saw more like a U-turn from the minority side, because Inusaf Hussaini, who is the minority spokesperson on Constitutional and Legal Affairs, indicated that they are very much open to the idea of a parliamentary inquiry. After the debate for more than 2 hours, the Speaker ruled that for now, they are not exactly going to investigate this matter. He is declining the request to investigate, but he is leaving room for the possibility of the House going back to it as and when it becomes necessary. Let's begin getting reactions to this. Ibrahim Ahmed, he is actually the minority whip, the deputy minority whip. He's joining us here. You initially objected to the idea of a parliamentary inquiry, despite the fact that something for the sake of transparency, this should have been done, as was argued by Intim Fojo.
Yeah,
what was your objection all about?
Let me say a very good afternoon to your cherished viewers. If you say I initially objected to the question of parliamentary inquiry, that would be wrong. I was objecting to the processes upon which he was calling for the parliamentary inquiry, and on simple grounds. You see, when you come with a statement by our standing orders is not supposed to provoke debate. But when you are calling for an inquiry, you have to debate the thing thoroughly with all the facts, after which you can set up a committee. That is why the standing order, and the order that the member quoted, Order 191, is saying that Parliament can make an inquiry into any issue by a motion. A motion simply because you have to move a motion and call for the setting up of a parliamentary inquiry, so that you give free rein to every member to debate. But when you come with a statement, you are restricting debate, because a statement by our standing order is not supposed to provoke debate. So how do you come? You will come with a statement, you lay some controversial facts, then you tell me that I cannot provoke debate.
So if I get it clearly, the minority in principle is open to the idea of a parliamentary inquiry.
That is why and go for the leadership. The leadership position was that fine, we are open to parliamentary inquiry. However, let's follow due process. So when you do that, because statements are just superficial discussions. If you want to set up an inquiry, you have to go deep into the issues, and that is what we were calling for.
And so would you want to bring this back officially and through the right processes in order for the said parliamentary inquiry to be done, if your position is that it's just about the process?
If you listen to the wise counsel of the two deputy speakers, they were of the view that, yes, Parliament has enacted laws to set up other constitutional investigative bodies, and we must respect those laws. The second order that I quoted was Order 93-1, which said that reference shall not be made to any matter on which judicial decision is pending in such a way that, in the opinion of Mr. Speaker, may prejudice the matter, the parties to the issue. So when you have all those things, and you and I know that the President has directed the special prosecutor to go into the investigation.
Aren't you sharing your responsibility as Parliament if you say because of what Parliament the President is doing, then you won't also investigate?
No. The Speaker, you see, this is issue that both MPP and DC members were party to the procurement. So if you want a neutral person to do the investigation, it should be the special prosecutor. And that is why we are calling them, let the special prosecutor go through. Because when the matter came, Parliament Committee on Defense and Interior, both sides nominated people who went, and both sides were given this. You understand? So you go and do procurement, then you, when they are talking about government official, on what capacity the MPs went to the Airbus? They went there as government officials. So when we are talking about government official 1, official 2, don't mistake it to be only NDCs. Both parties are rightly involved in this issue.
So probably Parliament doesn't want to be indicted in anything that it may have been involved in, which is how come you are avoiding, because the reference was made.
Assuming we go and form a committee. The committee has, I'm a member of the committee. Ntimfo is a member of the committee. Upon investigation, you get to know that the committee, the Parliament MPs who went to procure the Airbus, Ntimfo was part of it. Then how can you investigate yourself? So even the investigation, Parliament itself will be investigated because MPs were part of those who went to Airbus to go and do the procurement. So how can I investigate myself?
So
let the special prosecutor do the independent investigation. He was not party to the transaction, and therefore he will be in the position to do any diligent investigation and come out with any findings. And we are open to that.
So, viewers, the reference that Ibrahim Ahmed is making to the role Parliament played in this is this particular miniature of an aircraft. This is a miniature of the Airbus that was brought to Parliament today in the conversation. And the indication is that members of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament then in 2011, from both the NDC and the MPP, made a trip to go see and help with the processes. And according to him, certify that this was actually a good equipment for the armed forces, which is how come they think that Parliament shouldn't be looking into this. So for you, what exactly is the way forward?
The way forward is
Parliament will never look into this, or after the special prosecutor is done?
After the special prosecutor has brought his judgment, where is the judgment going to? The judgment will come here. That's what the Speaker said, that allow the matter to rest. When the special prosecutor finishes his case, then by a motion, we can go through all those things and do the debate. That is the matter.
Many thanks for joining us. Ibrahim Ahmed is the Member of Parliament for Banda. He's also the
deputy. Not objecting to the investigation, but we are objecting to the processes.
Thanks very much for the clarification on that. So that's the first Deputy Minority Whip in Parliament, Ibrahim Ahmed, speaking to us there. Let's get to the man who started all of this. Reverend Ntimfo, he's the MP for Ascent Central. He actually Ascent South. He moved, he actually delivered that statement requesting for the third parliamentary investigation. What exactly were you seeking in that request that you made to the House that they investigate this particular scandal?
We're talking about a matter that has arisen as a result of a motion that was duly taken and ratified by Parliament and hence that captures it. And by the constitutional provisions in Article 181, any international agreement and any matter that is to do with the government of Ghana expending funds will have to be ratified by Parliament. And so as Parliament, an independent institution, as a legislative arm of government that is so close with inquisitorial powers, with accountability powers to exercise oversight over the executive, is wielded with every power to inquire into matters that arise out of motions and ratifications that the House duly did so. And there has been judicial pronouncements from the UK courts and also from the United States courts to the effect that allegedly, and I use the word advisedly, allegedly, some Ghanaian officials who have been designated as individual 1, in some instances government official 1, in some instances intermediary 5 and others and so on, were cited in the publication of a ruling.
And you wanted a parliamentary inquiry to name and shame them. It was one of the words that you used.
Yes, it's very important that Parliament as an institution is not just seen as a body that ratifications just run through, and we are not interested in whipping and invoking our inquisitorial powers, in whipping our accountability powers. And we are so close with that constitutional mandate. And rightly so, we do not just come to sit in Parliament and just pass agreements and motions, but we are so minded that the resources of the country must be judiciously applied. But I must respond again that
First of all, would it be fair to say you are disappointed that the Speaker declined your request for a parliamentary inquiry?
Oh, not at all. I'm not disappointed. The ruling the Venerable Right Honourable Speaker gave is very apt in the sense that he rightly mentioned and acknowledged that no one can undermine the inquisitorial powers of the House, and that the House is vested with and clothed with constitutional powers that gives it that mandate and the authority to inquire into every matter of public interest. And so the fact that the executive is looking into a matter does not preclude or undermine the authority of Parliament to also look into it. However, in the circumstances and given due regard for certain technicalities surrounding the matter, he in his wisdom has advised that Parliament stands down the inquiry. He has not dismissed the inquiry.
Doesn't that amount to the House shedding its responsibility to the people of Ghana, at least for now?
Really,
because the point was made that it's not yet a subject of judicial processes or anything like that. Parliamentary processes can run concurrently with whatever other processes to investigate the issue ongoing.
Absolutely. So let us be minded that the Right Honourable Speaker did not dismiss the request. He says that the inquiry by Parliament will have to be on hold until such a time when the House determines to revisit it.
By the time the House decides to revisit it, wouldn't the damage have already been done? Why you sought to stop today with your request for parliamentary processes? Wouldn't the opportunity to do that be over?
I do not think so, because no timeline has been given in the matter. The Office of the Special Prosecutor, the President of Ghana, has duly committed and commissioned them and charged them to promptly look into the matter and collaborate with their UK counterparts. Whilst they are doing so, we could have also gone ahead. We could go ahead, and at any point in time, we can go ahead if the House so determines. However, at this point in time, the Speaker determines that let us hold on and then observe the goings on. At any point when the House determines that it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be next month, so we cannot preempt. But I must quickly rebut some inaccurate submissions that was given by Honorable Ahmed, and quoting Order 93, that a matter that is pending judicial, this matter is a judicial pronouncement. It is not now pending a court and ruling pending. Ruling has been given. The deferred prosecution agreement was heavily published, widely published. We have the ruling by the Crown Courts, which was published. There are judicial pronouncements. So matters are arising out of judicial pronouncements, which border on a motion or ratification that Parliament duly gave, and which a reference was contained in the publication or the ruling of the Crown Courts and the deferred prosecution agreement of the USA Courts. Reference was made to Parliament, and reference specifically was made to parliamentary approval of some funds that gave birth or that culminated into this scandal that we're here. So we must be minded that as a people of Ghana, the international embarrassment that this matter has caused, every public official, generally past or present, must be so concerned that inquiry is conducted into this matter, so that it should turn out, without prejudice to the outcome of the inquiry, it should turn out that the people so referred to in the judicial pronouncements are innocent, they are not complicit of any crime, and then the name of public officials and government officials in Ghana would have been purged.
Would you want to return to this at any point in time, in terms of making another request to Parliament to consider the parliamentary inquiry in the light of the decision not to do it now?
Consistent to the ruling given by the Right Honourable Speaker, he himself has not dismissed the possibility of inquiry, parliamentary inquiry into the matter. However, he says, let us stand it down and then observe.
So you do that once the special prosecutor is done with it?
As and when the House so determines to invoke our inquisitorial powers and constitute an ad hoc committee to look into it, the House may so determine. So at any point in time, when necessary, that's inquisitorial.
And will you be interested in leaning that another time in terms of getting the House to look at it?
I am a proud advocate for conservative values and anti-corruption and anti-bribery and any form of phenomenon that depletes not only the integrity of the country, Ghana, but the resources of Ghana. And my position as such a legislator, I will so remain consistent and fight for the resources of the country to be judiciously put to use, and for the integrity of government officials and the people of Ghana in general to be so held highly reputed.
Did you feel betrayed or anything like that, as is being claimed, that particularly with regards to the majority leader, that he endorsed the statement and allowed you to deliver it, and then right on the floor he sought to stop a debate on it?
No, majority leader cannot be faulted. Every proceedings, the proceedings and the debates and the contributions and the rulings that resulted or culminated in the statement I gave are apt and without fault, and all the opinions expressed are legitimate opinions that we must respect. But I'm highly gratified that the people of Asin South have had their voices expressed, and the people of Ghana and the voiceless who are so particularly disturbed by the international embarrassment caused the Republic of Ghana, have had their voices expressed in Parliament, and that is a matter that the Parliament of Ghana has taken very serious view. However, we are interested in an inquiry, but not necessarily today, as we observe the goings-on at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. As and when we need to also augment with a parliamentary inquiry, we will so continue. So I'm highly gratified and I'm satisfied.
Many thanks for joining us. That's Reverend Intim Fojo, the majority MP there, speaking to us on the processes he kick-started in Parliament earlier today, requesting for a parliamentary inquiry into the situation with Airbus. And the latest, as was pronounced by the Speaker of Parliament about 20 minutes ago, is that for now the House would not accept that request to hold any form of parliamentary inquiry. But then he's leaving the doors open to the extent that in future, if that becomes necessary, then they may be opting for that. So those have been the developments in Parliament today. Gifty.
Interesting developments there, and this matter is not over yet. We certainly will be following up with more. But Joseph, before this, there was a conversation as well about second-hand vehicles. Tell us about that. Gakpo, it does look like we have a bit of a delay there, but if you did hear me, or if you didn't, question is for you to update us on second-hand vehicles. There was a conversation as well on the floor of Parliament about it. Tell us more about that.
Gift, if you can say that again, it's a little difficult hearing you.
I just wanted you to give us an update on that conversation earlier about second-hand vehicles.
Gifty, if you can hear me, your question on the situation with the comments around the second-hand vehicles that came up earlier today. This was actually at a press briefing in the morning by the majority leader, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, on what exactly the House will be working on between now and the next 8 weeks when they are eventually adjourn sitting. And he indicated that one of the things that they would be considering later this month is an amendment to the customs bill. And there is a key process that's ongoing to get companies that are establishing various automobile industries to come establish here in Ghana. And among the ways to ensure that they get some reprieve and are able to make good profits would be to put some form of restriction on the importation of used vehicles into the country for a period of 10 years. And after that duration expires is when they would allow for possible more importation. So he indicates that we can expect that bill to be introduced, which will seek to amend the customs excise bill to make the establishment of an automobile industry in Ghana more lucrative than importing it. He also indicated that one of the things they'll be doing in the course of this particular sitting will be an amendment to the law on asset declaration. And that what we have currently is that when the assets are declared by politicians, it's placed under lock and key and no one makes it public. But they're seeking to do an amendment so that then when those assets are declared, the document will be an issue of public record that third parties can actually have access to and assess. And that is one other thing that they'll be looking at. He also indicated that they would be introducing a cyber security bill to Parliament as a way to tighten the whole regime when it comes to the cyber area and ensure that there are no loopholes that people will take advantage of. Those are some of the major issues that the House will be looking at over the next few weeks. They are sitting for the next 8 weeks, and it's expected that either just before or after Easter, they will take a break, because we all know that even the parliamentary primaries of the governing NPP is happening sometime on the 25th of April. So before then, the House will be taking a break, and he's been outlining that these are the major issues that they'll be dealing with before they take that particular break.
Thank you so much for that very detailed update on what's been happening in Parliament. If you're just listening, a lot of things have been happening in Parliament. So today they had a conversation about the Airbus saga, whether or not a parliamentary inquiry should begin. We know that the Speaker has ruled that it would not begin, but there's an open door for Parliament to have that discussion later. But the ruling is clear. Also, the discussion on customs, the customs bill, introducing some sort of restrictions so that a booming automobile industry can begin here in Ghana as well, and also about the cyber security. It'll be interesting to know what's in the cyber security bill and what exactly are the details. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty Ando Apia.